If it is 12 games, in my personal opinion, that is the worst case scenario for the Browns because I think it sabotages this season. And even though it gets Watson back on the field by that point, 12 games in, I'm not sure they'll be able to stay afloat with Jacoby Brissett, which brings us to our next topic, which is what Mary Kay reported yesterday, that if Watson's suspension gets extended past 6 games, the Browns, as they always would do, will be interested in some other quarterback options, including one Jimmy G. And, Bo, we'll start with you. We've talked about this before. Does it make sense for the Browns to go after Jimmy G if the suspension to Deshaun Watson gets increased past 6 games?
Yes, unless it's the full season. Then it becomes a question mark. Now, I still think they'll do it, but if the suspension ends up being 8, 10, 12 games, then to me it's a no-brainer to go get Jimmy Garoppolo. Because Jimmy Garoppolo is much better than Jacoby Brissett. He's a class or 2 better. Jacoby Brissett's a backup quarterback. It's as simple as that. I don't want him to start 12 games. Jimmy Garoppolo is a limited quarterback. He's a bottom-level starter, but he's won a lot of games. I'm not usually win games guy.
Can I give you a stat on that?
Well, go ahead.
He's 33-14 in his career.
Yeah.
His career win percentage, .703. That's the third highest active win percentage for any quarterback with 45 starts.
Now, he's been surrounded by excellent talent.
But he does win.
And he's usually, you can make a case the talent has carried him. He ain't carrying the talent. However, he has been you can't argue with it. He went to the World Series, went to the Super Bowl, went to the NFC Championship game last year. He gives them a better chance to stay afloat. Now, if the suspension's for the full year, I don't know if I do it because I don't think you can win in the playoffs ultimately with Jimmy Garoppolo. The AFC quarterback class is too good, and even though the Browns have a talented team, I can't see Garoppolo winning 3 games against Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. I can't see him winning 3 games against those guys, even with the Browns' talent, because those other teams are good too. But if it's 12 games, if it's 10 games, to me, plus, if it's the full season, I don't want to screw up the cap for next year when, in theory, that's my bet. But listen, I don't want to give up on the season if I don't have to. And if I'm going to get Watson back at all, then I need my best chance to stay afloat. Jimmy G can give me, I think, at least can go 500 in 12 games. At least, maybe better. And that gives me a chance to still make the playoffs. And if I have Watson in the playoffs, then I got a chance to win it all because hopefully he'll be ready to go by the playoffs.
Well, and I say this, first of all, there's a rallying effect here that has to, I haven't heard that out of the Browns camp, right? Because when one of us on this, when I say one of us on this team is under duress, it has to become a mentality of us against them, right? So we don't want to see the ship go down. So we're gonna huddle together to make sure that the ship, even if I don't believe in the total fact, but I'm gonna make sure that the ship doesn't get sunk from the beginning. So my question is, do you like what you have in Brissett? If you're being honest with yourself, the other players, they're not stupid. They know, can I win with this dude or not?
Right.
Now, if you cannot win with this dude, then okay, we have to do something else, right? We're not talking about you hold me over to 4, 5, 6 games, and then we'll bring my main guy back in. If that's not the case, and you can't muster up a thing for 12-plus games, then you have to go ahead and make a move.
Right.
Because the window of opportunity here for the Browns is already closing. You know what they say in sports, once it opens, it automatically starts to close.
Yep.
So it's closing. So either we're going to go or we're not going to go. Remember, I was the one on this set saying, I don't give a damn. Keep Baker Mayfield around here till you find out what happens with Watson, right? So I had somebody in the bag, right? Now you get rid of one in the bag, and now you got to go get another dude in the bag now.
No, I agree. And, Jay, I'll let you go next. But if it's 10 or 12 games, as Brad mentioned, the championship window's only open for so long. You have Myles Garrett under contract in his prime. You have Nick Chubb under Garrett in his prime. Amari Cooper's not getting any younger. These guys, when you have them under contract at this age, the championship window's 2-3 years. And if Watson has a chance to come back this year and salvage your team in the playoffs, you have to do whatever you can to keep your team afloat until Watson's able to return to the field, which for 10 games, for 12 games, if it's any stretch like that, I think it's pretty easy to see that Jimmy G gives you a better chance to win than Jacoby Brissett would. I mean, if it wasn't for one overthrown ball and an insane Mahomes play in the Super Bowl, he wins that one. And if it wasn't for Jaquiski Tartt dropping an interception in the NFC Championship game this year, he makes it back to last year's Super Bowl.
He played pretty awful.
He played
First of
terrible.
all, we're not gonna make Garoppolo into Brady. Let's stop with that. Let's stop with that.
I'm not saying
he's been surrounded by a bunch of talent. I don't care what time it's in. He's been surrounded by a bunch of talent who has carried him on.
I am not trying to make Garoppolo out to be a top 10 quarterback. What I'm saying, he's 4-2 in the playoffs.
Well, you
keep
giving me these stats like he's like the king.
But
he's
he
not
has
the king.
playoff experience.
If he's not the king, if he was the king, Mikey, they wouldn't be trying to run him out of every ship that he's on. They're running him out of every ship that he's on for a reason.
I'm not saying Brissett's a top 10 guy. I'm saying he's better than Garoppolo's not a top 10 guy. He's better than Brissett. But if I was the Browns and I had to get a backup quarterback to bring in, the guy I'm not looking at, and he's not available, but I would do everything I could to get Tyler Huntley in here. What he did for Baltimore last night was phenomenal. I know it's a preseason game, but he was great. He was great filling in for Lamar Jackson last year, and I know the Ravens wouldn't trade him to a division team.
I watched every
Tyler Huntley was very good in the backup role last year for the Ravens.
Nuggets.
I take him over Garoppolo.
Come on, Jay. Jay, come on.
I know it's not happening, but I'm saying if you're asking me who's the best option, that's your best option.
He's not.
Look at that.
He's not happening.
It's the preseason. Who cares?
Let me let McNuggets in on a secret. You're in Ohio. We know football.
I'm not saying y'all
we know
don't.
football.
I'm not saying y'all
this
don't.
Dude here, this dude here is not the dude.
Who cares?
He's not
What's Brissett gonna do?
He's not the guy, right? I'm gonna say if you're gonna go with Huntley, you might as well go with Brissett, right? Seriously.
They're not going to trade him to a team that they hate in their division. So I think before I answer this, I have to say, literally before I came down to do the show, my wife said, "Hey, are we signing that cute guy today?" That's where we are now, guys. That's
Is that where we are, Jay?
He's the best looking man in America.
Women are cheering for the Browns to sign Garoppolo so they can have the hottest quarterback-coach combination in the history of the NFL.
True. Yes, without a doubt.
That's what it's become.
Yeah.
Then women will watch the Browns, you can bet, with Garoppolo as the quarterback and old Salt and Pepper Stefanski as the head coach. I can see the cutaways now. Bull, congratulations, because you got it exactly right. If this suspension is for a year, you don't make the move.
Right.
Because ultimately you're going to have to play the most important games of the season with a guy who, yes, is an upgrade from where they are now with Brissett, but you're not getting past this juggernaut of quarterbacks in the AFC with Jimmy Garoppolo. You're just not going to do it, even with this talent. However, if the suspension is 8 or 10 or even 12, I bring Garoppolo in. I take my chances that the season is still salvageable. When Watson comes back, now you've got the most important football of the season, late November, all of December, and the playoffs with your number one guy and a team that's already gelled together as the season has progressed. So anything less than a season, I'm on the phone with Garoppolo immediately. The same reporter that I talked to a couple of days ago about sort of where this situation is sitting with the league also said this about Garoppolo. The Niners are going to cut him. They just are. They're not going to take that hit. So if you're the Browns, maybe you just sit on the sidelines. You don't have to give up anything. You just have to pay his salary. You just sit on the sidelines. You wait for that to happen. Now, granted, that means you're going to have to go to war with Jacoby Brissett for the first couple of games. But the way this schedule is built, I'm okay if Brissett has to play 2-3 games until we get Garoppolo in here, up to speed with the offense. Then, as the schedule really starts to get nasty, you turn it over to Garoppolo and you take your chances. It literally might be patchwork quarterback here for the Browns, but anything less than a full season, and I want Garoppolo on the roster.
Well, Jay, you're thinking very logically here. People in this town are in a panic. I mean, they're in a panic here, right? And so I'm not sure, because what you just said is very smart. Let's just play this out here. Let's see. We got the first 4 games. Looks kind of light. Look like I might be able to squeeze my way through it. And if I know that San Francisco's talking about cutting him, let me just wait and see if they cut him, right? But that would mean you would have to be steadfast in your belief that he can get you through the 4 games. Now, the flip side of it, the panic in this town, because I hear it on the radio, I see it on TV, I hear it in Whole Foods. I mean, the panic is unreal in this town. Like, anytime something goes sideways, we immediately go to panic here, right? Relax.
That's true.
Worst case scenario.
Relax.
Always.
Relax. Let's figure out how to get to the first part of the season, right? We don't have to have Garoppolo doesn't have to be here today. does not have to be here today because we don't know how this is going to play itself out yet. Because you still don't know if Peter C. Harvey drops this thing today. You have to wait to see what Watson's reaction is to. Does he file and get a TRO that gives him the first 8? Because they won't see it before the first 8. They won't hear this before the first 8 games, right? So if you think about that.
Is that even on the table?
Right. If he goes to get the TRO, it's a wrap.
They'll try to do that. They will definitely try to do that.
It's a wrap.
And that would allow him to play the first 8 games of the
I'm
season?
going back to Ezekiel Elliott and everybody else. That's about 7 to 8 games. So you still have to wait and see what Watson does to this, right? And then if that's the case, it still gives you some leverage time with Jimmy G, right? Yeah. Because San Francisco, if they see Watson is going to appeal it, San Francisco's going to cut him.
Yeah.
They're going to cut him right away.
And we still have a month to the season. Jimmy G's a veteran. It wouldn't take him that long to get acclimated.
He's familiar with West Coast offense as well.
Yeah, right. I'm not worried about it. It's not an emergency to go get him right now. First of all, we're not going to do anything until we know what the Watson resolution is.
No, and it's not coming anytime soon, unless Peter C. Harvey decides to announce it.
It could come today.
Well, that's what I'm saying, unless he decides to announce it soon. But the conclusion of this saga with the appeal and all that.
That's true.
But the point of the matter is, and I think Jay is spot on, we all tired now. I'm tired of talking about
Everybody's ready to move on.
Let's just get on to the football.
You want to talk some football?
Just give me
do it.
You want to talk some real football? Because guess what? For the first time in a long time, the Cleveland Browns are playing a football game tonight, albeit a preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But at 7 p.m. tonight, we will have Browns football. Jace, love child Cade York will kick off for the Browns tonight.
By the way, we got to bring up how Mikey McNuggets just embarrassed himself by saying the Browns should trade for Tyler Huntley because he had a good preseason.
He had a great.
Wait a second. This is my beef, okay? We have people all over the country, all over this town, who go bananas about forget preseason.
This is not the preseason game.
They're going bananas about training camp. I'm hearing this guy looked great in training camp. It's freaking training camp. Nobody's getting hit.
I agree. But he played well last year in relief of Lamar Jackson.
The reason I'm going to dominate the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Fantasy League, even though we're only doing 10 teams, it looks like, is because I am a professional fantasy league player.
Yes,
okay?
you are.
And I have had the Lamar Jackson in my keeper league. Okay, we have contracts. I'm getting to the point of this in a second. I've had Lamar Jackson as my quarterback since he was a rookie.
Okay.
On my keeper league fantasy team. So I had Tyler Huntley last year. As soon as Lamar Jackson got hurt, I picked up Tyler Huntley. And I played him. So I watch my quarterback's games every time for my keeper league fantasy because it's a big money league. So I watched Tyler Huntley take every snap. Big money. Big money for me. So I watched every snap Tyler Huntley took. First of all, he's okay. He's a backup quarterback. Don't tell me how good he is. They didn't win any games. He didn't play that great. He did all right. You know, nobody was that worried. The whole team was a mess. And he wasn't that good. You know, the stats look fine, but he dinks and dunks down the field. He's nothing special. And as Jay said before, they're not trading for him anyway. My point is people go so crazy about the preseason and training camp. This guy's amazing, best shape of his life. Shut the hell up and just enjoy the games. Don't read too it. You can't read much into preseason and training camp. We can enjoy it. I'm happy to watch the Browns play tonight. It'll be fun to see some action. But we can't go crazy about it.
My thing with Huntley was he played well enough last year, and he fits what Watson does more than Garoppolo. And that's it. And I said in my little thing, I said in my thing they would never trade for him, but that's the quarterback who I would want if we
overstated his qualifications.
Okay, let's talk a little Browns football.
Before we move on from that real quickly, why Garoppolo is, I think, the answer in this situation. He's had some really big playoff wins. I know he's beaten Dak. He's beaten Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Aaron
He's
Rodgers.
beaten Rodgers twice, I think. You might want to check that. But and look what happened against Mahomes. You know, I mean, you pointed that out just a little while ago. He was in position to win that game too. So, you know, the quarterbacks that this guy's beaten, I know everybody wants to say, well, the 33-14, you can't dismiss. The one record you can't dismiss for quarterback is the winning percentage because that's what you're measured on. You're measured on wins. And bad quarterbacks can't beat good teams by themselves. And good quarterbacks should take care of business against bad teams by themselves. And that's what Garoppolo has done. So I just think that he might be the answer. So if this Deshaun Watson thing blows up later and we find out that we're going to be without him for 10, 12 games, I think that news needs to be immediately countered by a move to go get Garoppolo, unless they want to play the waiting game and wait and see if the Niners release him.
I'll just say the stat one more time. He has a 70% career win percentage, third highest among all starters with 45.
Are we excited to watch this game
Let's
tonight?
Let's talk some preseason, though.
Yeah.